I missed all the action.
So did I. Was at work.
So I put a video in the group and on Facebook just saying I did a video of me explaining the new check-in process because I've redone all the questions. I'm trying to do it in a much more of a diagnostic way.
Yeah, I quite like.
Yeah.
I had a quick look. I quite liked it.
It's a bit more like getting proper
Answers.
information back off you that I can actually do
Yeah.
something. The last check-in form was a little bit like, how's everyone feeling? How's your energy? How are you feeling? How's your emotions? And I just kind of got this stuff back where I was like, right, I don't know what to do with this actually. I haven't got the information I need to actually give you something that you can work with for the next week.
So it always depends on the day of the week, really.
Well, this is a bit more reflective and it's a bit more like the answers that you give will actually give me something solid. Then say, right, what you need to do this week is this. Just focus on this and you'll be good.
I'm watching it. I'm sitting
Right.
next to him.
Have you watched the video Phil put on?
Yes.
Why people fail on diets. And this is mainly about habits, subconscious eating. There's no wrong diet plan. Every single diet plan will work. What most of us get wrong is the bit that we're not in control of. And this is basically habitual eating that we've created for ourselves over the years. But it's once you start to understand how that happens and why it happens, you become aware of it, then you can start to control it. Then you can start to recognize that it's happening and you can do something about it. If you don't know it's happening, you're still on autopilot. So even with the best will in the world, even if you've got the best willpower and I give you the right calories, the right macros, and you've got all the good intentions, you're still going to end up doing things that you didn't realize that you do. A lot of people in this group will say things like, this just happened. Well, yes and no. It did kind of just happen. You do have a decision, but it actually happened because your subconscious did it. So, and this applies to everyone. But let's begin. It is a very simple equation when you come down to it. You will lose weight if you have the right activity level, you stick to the right calories, you have the right macros in place. 2 seconds. Kids. So it's all about what happens in the evenings, what happens when you're stressed, what happens when you're at social events, weekends, and boredom. This is where everything falls apart. So, and everyone in this group at some point will blame themselves. Like, oh, I just need to do more. I know what to do, but I just can't do it. I need to be more disciplined, blah, blah, blah. Maybe I don't want this enough. But half of these things happen automatically and they're driven through habits and routine. So I'm going to go into why these happen, and it's all about cues. So yes, sometimes we eat because we're hungry, but a lot of the time now, it's got nothing to do with whether we're hungry or not. It's driven by the brain's need for reward and relief. So your brain is always in a state where it seeks comfort. It doesn't want to be uncomfortable, and it'll do everything in its power to make things comfortable. It also knows over time, after everything that you've eaten, that highly palatable foods. So when we're talking about highly palatable foods, we're talking about things that are essentially high in salt, sugar, and fat together at the same time. They're the things that feel nice in your mouth and just trigger all your dopamine release at the same time. So these are the things, these are your junk foods, your chocolates, your alcohol, everything else. These are the things that click that switch in your brain that give you that instant reward, that instant hit. When you get those rewards, teaches your brain, right? The thing that got that reward, we want to repeat that because we like that outcome. Like we want to start. What was it that he did? How did we get to that reward? What were the things that happened in a line? And it's those cues. Let me try and move this thing out of the way. But over time, your brain will stop responding to you being hungry, and it starts responding to cues that happen. And these are our fault. We create these every time that we do a specific task. So when you first make a decision about something, it's always conscious. The first time you decide to engage in something, it's a conscious decision. And basically, you form a sequence of events. So the one that I was always taught was, why do we drink coffee in the morning? You get up one morning, you're tired. You know for a fact that coffee has caffeine. It'll stimulate your brain. It'll wake you up. So you go through these sequence of events. You go downstairs. You go into the kitchen. You put the kettle on. You fill the coffee cup. You drink your coffee, and then you're rewarded with that instant stimulation. Once you've done that a couple of times by decision, you don't need to do it anymore. Your brain has actually made neural connections to each of those movements, each of those cues, and you'll do them on autopilot without even thinking about it. This is why you have a coffee in the morning, even when you don't want a coffee and you're not even tired. You do it because your brain has just created a series of connections that says, kettle, up, put the coffee in, put the milk in, drink it, all for good. We'll then start to just run that on its own. It'll then also start anticipating the reward it's going to get before you have the reward. So the minute you stick the kettle on, your brain's like this. Right, he's gonna have coffee in a minute. Great, I'm gonna get high. I'm gonna get stimulated and be bouncing off the ceiling. Imagine what happens if you put the kettle and you turn the kettle off and you don't have it. Your brain's just anticipated all this stuff that it's going to get, and you've suddenly just said you're not having it. You then go on a downer, and you then become miserable because your brain's anticipating that reward, and you've just taken it away. So you know when people say he's grumpy because he hasn't had his coffee this morning, that's why. It's not because you need it. It's because your brain has become conditioned to expect it, and then when it doesn't have it, you get cranky. The same thing happens when you associate a particular set of cues with eating a bar of chocolate. If you're used to having some biscuits or whatever your vice is, whatever, like a bag of crisps or whatever else, you're looking forward to it. You'll start seeking those things out regardless. Which is why when you're on a diet and you start restricting and you tell yourself you can't have it, you're in a mood. And the reason you're in a mood is because your mood's sunk because your brain's actually already released the dopamine before you've eaten it because it's anticipated the fact that you're going to have it, ready for the fact that you're going to have it, so that when you take that away, you get a sudden spike and then you get a massive dip, which is what makes it hard. So then what stops you fighting that? If you then go on a downer because you can't have it, you'll do everything in your power to make sure you go and get it. Same with smoking, same with drinking.
And it's an addictive.
Yeah. So we'll say here, when a behavior is repeated and consistently delivers a reward, whatever it's for, that behavior just becomes automatic. You're no longer in control of that behavior. So those things that you do don't feel like a choice. That's why you end up saying, "Oh, like why did I have that? That just happened." I've already gone a bit further into this because that's what this slide's about.
Mhm.
So yeah, instead of waiting for the dopamine after you've had said snack, it appears beforehand. So this is where the craving comes from. This is why you crave things, because your brain's told you that you're going to have it. You've got the reward, but then you don't get the reward. You don't get the full reward. So you can map this back to all the different situations where they trigger all of these things. And this is why when you try and resist it, it's really difficult. It's really hard. Which is why you can stick to a plan all day, but by the time you get to the end of the night, that is the hardest bit. And this is all to do with what's around you in your environment. So if you think every habit you've got follows this same loop, you've got a series of cues, becomes routine, and it looks for a reward. Each of those cues might start with any of these things: sitting down on the sofa, finishing your dinner, stress after work, boredom, different social situations. Like the cue of going out to the pub makes you just want to have a drink, whether you want to drink or not. Finishing your dinner, how many times have you finished dinner and had dessert just because that's the next cue? That's the next step in the line. You're probably full off your dinner, but you'll still have a dessert because it's just a subconscious decision that you do one thing after another. So the routine of it is the eating side. The reward itself isn't the food, it's the relief you get. So unless you change the environment that actually enables you to kind of put a, or what am I trying to say? You've got this loop, you need to put something in it, you need to cut it off.
Circuit
So
breaker.
circuit breaker, exactly. Thank you. And that's essentially how you set your diet, how you set up your environment.
Does that mean I can put the kettle in the bin?
No.
So I don't have to make you cups of tea.
No.
Look after the kettle. The kettle's fine.
Not when you're
So-
up every 5 minutes making it.
You get your steps in.
Every steps.
The trick isn't to have more discipline. The trick is to remove the triggers and to remove the end results.
Put the kettle in the bin.
If you've got food in the house that you know is going to be a trigger, if you know that as part of that series of cues, you need to get rid of them or you need to put them out of sight.
Yeah.
This is a massive struggle with a lot of people who's trying to do this, but maybe their family or their partners are not on the same journey, which is making it even more difficult for them.
Yeah.
Because those same things.
We've still got all the Christmas goodies from Christmas.
Yeah.
This is why Jane and Keith do really well, and Phil and Laura do really well, because they're in it as a couple. So basically, they're having exactly the same things.
Yeah. My wife, she's on a bit of a journey herself, and so she's literally dieting. Yeah, she's doing well. So she's not doing what I'm doing, but she's eating what I'm eating. But she likes to swimming, so she goes swimming. So yeah.
We do the same training, pretty much the same training. We eat exactly the same diet, and we try to push the same diet onto the kids. So everyone in the house is eating the same thing.
Nothing worse than making something else for somebody else.
I unfortunately can't stop Claire bringing the good stuff in for the kids.
Yeah.
I have told her that she's got to hide it.
Because Phil sees it and eats it.
Often in no, but yeah.
No, but yeah.
Yeah. I can't just tell myself be more disciplined. I've got to find another way around. I've got to find another routine. I've got to make another habit and another series, a set of cues. So if I become self-aware that if Claire goes to bed, I'm tired, I'm sat on my laptop still working at 11 o'clock at night, I know that the next logical thing for me is to go and pig out and go and eat loads of cereal, because I've done it quite a lot lately. I'm aware of it. I can say I'm altering my environment. So when Claire goes to bed, I'll be like, right, I'm not being left down here. I'm going to come and work upstairs in the spare room, because if I'm left down here on my own, I not
Right,
I
kids
might
good.
just
You might divert to the fridge.
Yeah. It's not about it's not about being disciplined to say no. Being disciplined enough to recognize where you're at and put yourself in a different situation. So now I'm creating a new habit. I'm creating a new set of cues. When it gets to 9:30 and Claire says she's going to bed, that's now my cue. Now this is becoming a habit, because you don't get rid of habits once your brain has made those neural connections between I'm tired and I've just had a hit of caffeine. Those don't go away. This is why alcoholics and people with addictions can always revert back, because those things don't break. But you
It's
can
hard.
replace them. You
It
can
is hard.
but you can develop. Surely you'll agree with this, Keith. You can create new habits that can override them, as long
Yeah.
as you keep them, as long as you keep doing them.
Yeah, I
Once you
ended up
stop the new
drinking
habit,
Pepsi Max.
the old ones will come back to the surface.
Yeah, I started drinking Pepsi Max and I was going through 24 cans every other day, I tell you.
Yeah, but then you stop.
And then I stopped drinking that, yeah, and went on to water. So that was my goal, was to go on to something else, holding the can in your hand, maybe, I don't know. And then after I got rid of that, then it went on to water. So I drink a lot of water now.
What else have we got? So making problem foods less visible. For me, if it can't be hidden, if the food can't go somewhere else, I need to go somewhere else. But I know that, so I'll make that decision, and I'll make that a new habit. Pre-portioning rather than eating from packets. There's a lot of studies done that actually prove that people who sit with a big bag of crisps will eat way more than someone who pulls a bowl full, because I know it's going back to the eat from smaller plates, but it kind of is. If you've got more, you'll eat more.
Yeah, it's like a
If
big
you
bag of
put more
crisps or
in
a
front
small
of you,
bag of crisps.
you'll have it.
Yeah. You'll eat a big bag of crisps, but you eat a small bag of crisps. You know what I mean? You could be satisfied with a small bag, but if the big bag's there, you'll go for it and finish them. So,
Exactly. If you got a small bag, you'd finish the bag and go, right, I finished that bag of crisps. But the reason there is such an obesity problem is because portions and bags of things are getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Same problem with vape. There's no end. It's just an endless amount of functional stuff. Like it's hard as an end.
Did you hear that? Because that was a good point, and I've thought this for ages with vaping. Like, what is the dose? If you're a smoker and you smoke cigarettes, the dose is one cigarette. Once you get to the end of one cigarette, you put it out, and that's it, until you're ready to have the new one.
Yeah.
But people who vape, like, what's the dose? You just in your mouth, you just keep going and going and going and going and going. There's no stop.
Yeah, I vape, and I'm like that. As soon as I'm on my break, I'm like.
Well, how do you determine when to stop?
Exactly, because it's not like you're getting satisfied like you do with a cigarette, because you've constantly got the vape in your mouth. You know, like after one cigarette, you're sort of like, yep, that's enough for me. I don't need another one till so and so. With the vape, you're just constantly doing it. So that's a good point.
This is the biggest. Sorry, go on, Jane.
No, I'm just saying he's only got till June.
I've only got till June. What?
Get off the vape.
Oh God, I've got another thing to quit now.
Why? What's that for?
Because we're on holiday.
I've got to quit vaping because I've got to go on holiday.
They're illegal in Turkey.
They're not illegal in Turkey. They're illegal to buy in Turkey. They're not legal to vape in Turkey.
Well,
They have the shisha pipes in Turkey.
They're even worse. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. True.
This is probably, I mean, the one bottom right there, eating meals at the table and not grazing. I mean, yeah, I think that's self-explanatory. The biggest one I try to drill into people is simplifying your choices so fewer decisions are needed. Whenever you've got a decision to make, you've always got a chance of getting it wrong. It's like tossing a coin. If you get to a meal time and you haven't already planned what you're going to have, and you have to ask the question, "What am I going to have?" There's going to be multiple choices. So the percentage chance of you picking the wrong choice is massive. This is why there's a few people I'm trying to actively get them to just map out ahead in a table. Write down what you're going to have on Monday and Tuesday. You must know. You must you've been doing this for long enough now. Like cooking for the family, you must know what you're going to make for dinner on Tuesday, what you're going to make on Wednesday. Write down what your lunches are going to be. Write down what your breakfasts are going to be. That's your plan. Stick to it.
I don't do that.
If you don't have a decision to make, you can't get it wrong. You just follow it.
Yeah.
It's when you've got a decision to make that and suddenly nothing's ready. You're like, oh shit, so we'll just get that pizza out of the freezer.
Makes it easier for your shopping if you do it. Like we usually do it over a weekend before we do our shopping, because then you go and buy everything for that said meal.
Well, we've done online shopping now for quite a while, and it may as well just be a copy and paste.
Yeah.
Because we buy exactly the same things every single week. It's the same favourites list on Tesco.
Yeah.
It's almost like you just pick up the basket from the before, copy it, and you're buying it again because we have the same meals on a Monday, same meals on a Tuesday, same on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
It's very, very rarely, occasionally, we'll have, like, Saturday will be different. We'll have something different on Saturday.
I can't do that.
No,
I couldn't do set meals. I'd get bored.
Me too.
I do like to mix it up. I could still cook a healthy meal, but mix it up. So
well, hang on a minute. I'm not saying we eat the same meal Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
all right, okay, yeah.
We
I was
have
gonna say,
different
that
meals
would
every
get
day,
repetitive.
but we know what we're having every day.
Oh yeah, I can understand
So
that.
every Monday they have the same.
Yeah,
Like Tuesday is
think-
spaghetti bolognese day, Thursday
Yeah.
is salmon day,
yeah.
Wednesday is chicken and pita breads and hummus or whatever.
I'd have to mix it up though. Honestly, I couldn't just. I'd like one week I'd like Italian, or the next week I'd like Greek, or I'm a parky bugger, and I cook. So
Said that one.
I've got a
Yeah,
very fussy husband.
and that's absolutely fine
Yeah.
if you can map that out and stick to it.
Yeah.
But if you
Yeah.
can't, the best way to get results is to be boring, repeatable, and predictable.
Yeah.
That's actually what your body likes.
Yeah.
It doesn't like different things all the time. It likes the same all the time. And the closer you get to that, honestly, your results get so much quicker when you're like that.
I might get bored.
I struggle with that.
Yeah, my taste buds like to taste things different, and
Wow, you're all little princesses, aren't you?
no, it's like
Think about poor
body's
dogs. They
this
get
body's
one meal for their
temple,
whole life.
Phil, this
I've
body,
had food for a week.
this temple needs feeding different things. It likes to extravagant.
Is that unique? Are you, Keith?
Well, the wife will tell you that, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
As I said before, habits are not removed. You can get rid of habits, but you can change them and redirect them and create new ones.
Yeah.
So you can keep the same cue, but you have to start adjusting the routine to a different endpoint, and that different endpoint still needs to give some form of reward.
Mhm.
But changing those habits, setting out a new routine, a new reward system, that's the habit. But once it's done, and it gets easier to stick to. But you've got to dig in at first and make the awful initial stages of moving from the bad habit to the good one.
Yeah.
Like, I had to go quit drinking last year or the year before. And the first thing I did was, well, I've got to replace it with something. I can't have the series of cues and then not have the reward. So if I'm not going to have a beer, I need to have chocolate. So I replaced beer with chocolate. And then gradually over time, I wasn't so bothered about the chocolate, or I replaced it with alcohol-free beer, but then I wasn't as bothered about, like, when you replace it with something that's not quite the same reward, and it's not quite as good, but it's enough to cool, that it just starts getting a bit less and less.
I can second that. Yeah, I
So you
do
can
that.
keep the same routines, but just create a different end, create a different ending. And people always say, like, oh, I get really, really hungry towards the end of the night. Factor something in for the end of the night. So if you know before you go to bed that that's the time where you struggle the most, if you've got 2,000 calories for the day, stick 200 or 300 aside for before you go to bed, and actually plug something in. Make that part of your nighttime routine and finish on that
Mm-hmm.
instead of leaving yourself starving hungry. Create a habit that gives you a little reward before you go to bed, then go to bed.
Yeah.
So,
Makes sense.
quick summary: diet plans don't fail because we're weak. They fail because our environments overpower them. When you start to understand how these habits work, then you can start to work with them, and then you can start to think of strategies about how you can reverse engineer them into something that works for you. And whatever, you need a coping mechanism. You need something that's going to, like I said before, the cue for me was Claire saying, I'm going to bed. And straight away, I built a habit in my head that said, I'm just going to bed. I can sneak off and get something. Now I've had to redirect that to, yes, come and dear, I'm coming as well. Go on. See?
Yeah.
Didn't last night because I was actually busy on something, but I didn't have anything. I did come straight up. Right. Does this help at all? Does this help kind of understand a little bit about why we make the decisions we actually don't make?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So you need to step outside yourself and start watching yourself when you do these things. Because when you start becoming properly aware of them and why you're doing them, that's when you can actually take control of them again. But if you're not, they run all over you.